Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Vonnie. This is episode 155, and we try to figure out how House of the Dragon is going so far in season 2. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen. What's up? Good morning. Welcome back. I just got in from a nice Disney vacation yesterday, which is really not a vacation at all. It's just a lot of fucking work. But it was good. It was glorious. Brian, how are you today?
Wait. You can't bring up Disney and just like gloss over it like that. It was a vacation. It was a lot of work.
homage.
Okay, bye. Hey, you.
No one wants to hear about that.
What happened at Disney World? Why did you bring your 2-year-old child and your newborn to Disney World when they're not even conscious of what's going on?
Well, longtime listeners.
It was a trip for you.
Longtime listeners will remember that Aeromexico fucked us a little bit, and also Mexico City is having a severe water shortage, and so we decided.
Wes is anti-Mexican. Is that what we're saying? And we know that Disney is a racist. So you went there.
It all makes sense now.
Your last bastion.
So we pivoted in a great Ross and Chandler fashion. We decided instead of going to Mexico City, we would go to a completely inauthentic cultural bastion known as.
They do have a Mexico
Disney
there.
World. They have Mexico. They have Canada. They have Japan, Germany, Norway, Paris, or France.
This is true. This is true. You could travel the world in 20 minutes.
Hey, I was thinking about that. It's just it's like such an American thought that you can shortcut cultural understanding by just walking around a big amusement park. Hey, why not? 40 minutes, I'm done. I've seen the world. What more is there to see? Let me go back to my television.
Or if you want to have fun with
Endor.
it, it's like an American thing of having a microcosm of many of the world's cultures condensed into one place, much like the cultural mosaic that is already the United States. That's me being, that's my positive idealized framing. Than just exactly just corporate, money grabbing.
A little bit
of both.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do the money grabbing version, you could just go to Queens and walk around for 5 minutes, and you hit it up 100 different countries.
Hell yeah!
At once.
See, that's much better.
Done.
Yeah. And let me tell you, Orlando right now, not messing around. It's 95 degrees there, 93 degrees there, with 1,000% humidity, and carrying a toddler or even a baby is a lot. It's just, you're instantly sweaty. Just your face is dripping. Your back is, when the back sweat drops down and you can feel it go down the middle of your back and it gets to your shorts.
When it crawls into your shorts, that's a good time. That's a nice little river runs through it.
Yeah. So that was happening. It was a lot. We were trying to find AC here and there, but because the kids couldn't go on all the rides, they weren't getting the benefit of all the AC. Tron?
Clearly the happiest place on earth.
Yeah. For rides, though, Tron at Magic Kingdom, that's a good ride. I've never been on it, and they don't have it at Disneyland. Tron is a good fucking ride. That was a good one. It's an adult roller coaster. Good shit.
Oh, an adult roller coaster.
Well, it's not for kids. You got to be 48 inches to ride it. 4 feet. You got to be at least 4 feet. So adults, you qualify. Some kids, you will not qualify.
Anyways, listeners, viewers, we're here to really talk about House of the Dragon. HBO's big smash hit.
The segue here is children and messed up parents.
Yeah, we're talking about Wesley and them's wild family dynamic. There are way wilder families to talk about, and that's what we call a transition. But Wes, big money. I'm a dish it back to you, a little give and go.
It's been about 2 years since we've been in Westeros in the pre-Game of Thrones era. We're here with the House of the Dragon, looking at the Targaryen family disasters. I don't know what this is. The worst family reunion that's ever been had in the history of family reunions. And so we're jumping into season 2. Before we do that, it's been a while, so you may not remember, or we may have been, maybe we've got some new listeners who don't really know where we're at. So how did you feel about season 1? Maybe even a little bit about its conclusion, and then your excitement for season 2. Savon, tell us where you at.
Yeah, I really enjoyed season 1. I didn't realize that the first season was going to be one that was actual decades of build up before the actual events of the war, right? They really dedicate an entire season to entirely just context building, build up, lots of actor shifts and changes. I really appreciate.
Yeah, they recast the Rhaenyra character, and the Alicent character.
They recast some of a lot of characters, a couple of characters, like including like Aegon, right? Have at this point 3 different people who played them, damn near 4 if you count them as an infant, as a toddler, as a teen, as a young adult. So a lot of cast shifting, but I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to have that build up. I liked the long form storytelling. I thought it flexed. I actually enjoyed a lot of the casting decisions, and I really enjoyed season 1, the build up, and seeing how they changed and adapted things from the book. But I love that it felt more like a drama than an epic. And I was excited for season 2, and am excited, and I'm enjoying, because I read the books. I forgot a lot of what happens in this story, but there's some key things I do remember. And so a lot of it's still pleasantly surprising, but I'm enjoying it.
Boss, Brian?
I'm not a reader of books, so
I feel like you could have said that.
I am not a reader of words.
Said that in a less dump on yourself way. You could have just said, "I didn't read the books." I said, "I don't read." Period.
I'm just being honest. trying to keep it a buck over here.
Real.
So I didn't have that context for season 1 of House of the Dragon. However, I do agree they did spend a lot of time carving out the dynamics between Alicent and Rhaenyra, their 2 families, all the other Targaryens. Spent a lot of time devoted to fleshing out what those dynamics are like, and all of it comes to a shocking point at the very end of season 1. And I thought all of that was really well-crafted storytelling. I know I was very critical about it when we first talked about it, about, how it was not different enough and not unique enough unto itself as the original Game of Thrones TV series. But by the same token, it's just as solid of storytelling as the original series. And I mean, you could argue that perhaps more happens in a chunk of a season of House of the Dragon, because they did cover so much time, and then now that we're in season 2, a lot of things keep happening, and so it's really interesting to have this kind of breakneck pace as this feud continues to develop, evolve, and just spiral out of control. So I think it's a very well made show. It's probably one of the most well made things that are out right now, and in the past couple of years. So yeah, I was definitely looking forward to season 2.
I enjoyed season 1 quite a bit, but I also felt like the ending was kind of like, the excuse me, the whole
dragon fight was
no, well, that was we'll talk about that, I guess, at a different time. The whole thing about the miscommunication around Viserys and what, his dying breaths, and how Alicent mishears what he's trying to say. But like, they were already planning for it anyways. So, it didn't really seem like that big of a thing to be like, well, now we've got the rightful blessing of the king. I don't know. I thought that was kind of not cheap. It just didn't feel like it mattered that much. And to see the king go out with just basically a whimper rather than, actually doing something. I mean, I guess it's on brand, but it just felt like, okay. I wasn't that excited. And in fact, I was not excited for season 2 because I'm just like, I don't care about these people. They're not necessarily like having shown any kind of ability to be a ruler or be a king or a queen or whatever. And they're just sort of like bumbling away and being like, that's my toy. Like, I want it and you can't have it. And, and I know that's the point of Game of Thrones, but I'm just sort of tired of that. Maybe I've got too many like toddlers in my life right now. So that could be that.
Very interesting.
What the hell is that?
From the father over here. He's like, all these people are babies. I don't care about
no one's a good ruler. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I agree with that statement, but
none of them have been a good ruler. So we're 3 episodes.
I mean, were you rooting for anybody in the original series?
No, not really. I mean, I guess
you watched
leaning a little bit towards the Rhaenyra character.
Did you not care for the original series? Maybe that's a better question.
No, I like the original series quite a bit. But I think you had people there to like root for, or at least think that like would be good on the throne, even if they weren't good at getting to the throne. But someone like Jon Snow, right, or Robb Stark, or even who's like the Tyrells? Is it the Tyrells?
Those are the most boring.
The mom who like takes out Jaime, right?
This is like a crazy barometer for what makes something good. You want a character that takes the moral high ground.
You want a lawful good character
to the throne and be deserving.
Yeah, but then maybe they don't get there.
Who cares?
Well, they might not get there, but maybe that's like part of why they like don't get there, right? Like
Wes needs a goody two shoes in his show, otherwise he can't enjoy it.
Where's the teacher's pet? Damn it!
I need someone who follows all the rules, who's nice to everybody.
Yeah, and maybe they don't make it. Maybe that's their downfall, and that's fine too, right? That like you're showing that like that kind of kindness or whatever can't really exist or can't get you to the throne. But then you're left with someone like who was the one that Jaime killed before the show starts in Game of Thrones?
Aerys, the Mad
King or whatever. Yeah. So like that's why you end up with someone like that, because like they're willing to be just ruthless and cutthroat and get rid of all their enemies. But
I don't know. In peak form, whatever. I am here for it. It's confidently wrong Sundays, baby. There is something in the air today.
So that's been kind of like the thing that's been kind of for me this season too. Is like I don't know. I mean, like these people are fine. Like their infighting is like intriguing, I guess, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't really care about what they're going to do. And I think part of it is we know that, one group is going to succeed, but like they're still going to suck at the end of the the So
we do know that one group's going to succeed.
And you know that they're going to suck?
We know that they're all going to be
and you know that they're going to suck?
Well, the Targaryens are in power all the way up until right before Game of Thrones, right? So we know that like the Targaryens maintain control. It's not like a secret shadow player comes out of the woodwork and takes over the throne, or
you legitimately don't. Actually, Wes, you legitimately don't.
You don't know. They're both Targaryens.
Like, actually, Wes, I'm gonna keep it a bean. That does happen later.
That there's not necessarily
not in the context of this story, not anything relevant to this story, but like you don't know what else happened in the Game of Thrones stuff between this series and the main one.
Well, you know that the Targaryens are in power until Robert Baratheon is in power, right?
Yeah, I'm just letting you know the thing you said doesn't happen does happen.
That there's a rebellion?
Yeah. It's a whole nother storyline that I actually think would also make a good adaptation. But like there's a whole nother Targ who absolutely starts like a 3-part civil war, basically. Or rebellion.
Nice. Damn, the Targs.
The Targs. They're wow. Point. Well, sorry, you're just Westing right now. I love it. I'm here for it. It's great. It's great.
I don't know.
Take us on your journey, Wes.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think the show is like amazing. I've just sort of been like, it's fine. Brian, how have you felt about it so far? We're 3 episodes in. There should be a new show, or there will be a new show tonight. That'll be episode 4. How have you felt like so far? This could be anything about the show that you're digging on, that you're liking. What are you thinking?
Well, unlike our host over here who wants the lawful good character to ascend to the throne.
That's not what I said. Not what I said.
take up a bunch of screen
I think
time.
this show is actually much more about politics, and politics is interesting inherently. And you don't need any morally good character to participate in it. And actually, it's probably more interesting when they're not, partially because that's real to life. So that being said, I do think a lot of fun things have happened in just a mere 3 episodes of this new season. And I think one key thing to point out is that every episode has built towards a crazy climactic moment in which something has paid off that was started at the very beginning of that said episode. And this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier in how the storytelling is slightly different from the original Game of Thrones series, is that things are paying off immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are talking about, Damon is talking about retribution earlier in the episode, and we get it by the end of the episode in all of its mishap, right? And so we're going into spoilers at this point.
Spoilers.
People are watching this.
Put that
People
thing on the Honda Civic.
So,
vroom vroom, let's go.
So I just got that.
Yeah, with me. You're with me.
Pocket rocket spoiler. Okay, we got you. So Damon's out for blood. Baby gets killed. End of episode 1. Right. Episode 2. Allison's new boy toy, upset over his role in not defending said killed baby. He sends one of the twins after Rhaenyra. The twins face off in Rhaenyra's castle. They kill each other. Right? So you have that. And then episode 3, Rhaenyra is debating with her council about how to respond, and they all want blood. They all want action. She's trying to be a prudent ruler, just like her father. And so she goes for a more backdoor dealing kind of route, and seeks out Alicent, sneaks herself into King's Landing and the Temple of the Sept, and has this incredible conversation back and forth with Alicent, where they both realize that they were wrong. They both realize that they made mistakes, and they both realize that things have gotten way out of hand beyond their control, and that it's kind of a done deal already. So I think we're getting a ton of stuff happening just in a mere 3 episodes. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season as all this plays out in a bloody mess that we know it's going to turn out to be.
Sav.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry, Brian. That was a really good answer. Can you repeat the question, Wes?
Yeah. What have you thought about the first 3 episodes so far?
Yeah. So I want to give an answer that mirrors Brian's a little bit. First of all, Brian, I agree with everything you said. Like, the politics portion is more interesting. Politics in general means that even lawfully good characters have to, and I would argue that Rhaenyra is probably the closest thing to a lawful good that we have, in terms of she's not malicious. She doesn't go out of her way to seek blood. She's trying to avoid all this shit. She's going out of her way. Now, I'm not saying that might not change, but knowing these kind of conflicts, that probably will change, right? Because politics makes good people have to make hard decisions that are, it's kind of like a pick your poison. But so I agree. I want to echo the politics stuff. What I am loving most is, and Brian, it's funny because you said you were more critical of last season of it being more of like a melodrama, but that's what I am enjoying most about this. I like the epic, almost adventure side of Game of Thrones, but I like that this one is much more intimate, and decisions are not just driven by politics, but by characters' actual emotional well-being. What I want to focus on in my little, I guess, whatever, is like how characters' emotional states, and it kind of makes there be a lot of payoff from season 1 of you just understanding, oh, why does this character behave this way? Oh, this is why. One of my favorite moments in this season, and I think just Thrones period, was I think the end of episode 2 maybe, where Alicent goes to her dad because she needs support from him, and she's like, I've sinned, and he's like, I don't want to hear it. And that's consistent with Otto being an emotionally distant father, right? Like he set up his daughter to try and basically get with the king and try and place her and all that in the first season. So we know he's an emotional
baby trap him.
So we know he's already been an emotionally distant manipulator. This is him again not being emotionally there for his child, right? Literally the next scene, she sees her son Aegon, as much of a big of a piece of crap he is, crying over his dead child, wringing his hands in that nervous way, the same way Alicent does. I don't know if people catch that. They both have that same kind of like fiddling with their hand nervous tick. She doesn't support her son right after her dad doesn't support her. In that same episode, she also did not support her daughter who just had her child murdered. Rather than talk about, hey, what happened? I'm sorry you had to pick your son to get killed. She's trying to play damage control over her being with Kristen Cole, then uncomfortably making her daughter sit through the funeral procession. And then Aemon in general, right, has never been supported by his mom, and they clearly have an icy cold relationship. But like, for me, I'm loving that kind of stuff because the politics is great, Brian, as you focused on. But just watching these family dynamics at play, like Wes, that's what I'm enjoying. I don't really care about rooting for any of them, but watching this dynamic at play is so fascinating and interesting because you have characters who are awful like Aegon, but you have more context as to why he's the way he is. His dad, Viserys, was not a good dad to this man. Like, in hindsight, I'm like, yo, Viserys, you are not a good dad. Yo, Alicent, you are not a good mother. But when Otto was your dad, it makes sense that you're not a good mother. You were kind of set up to fail in the first place. So, like, do I like any of them? No. But is it fun and interesting to watch their dynamic at play? Absolutely. It's almost why I like the Greens more than the Blacks. I'm rooting for the Blacks, but like, they're frankly much more functional of a family dynamic. Like, even what is it? Not Luke, Jace. Even Jace, when he's with Bela, is talking about, like, he still remembers his dad Laenor fondly. He still remembers his biological dad Strong fondly. Like, he kind of had a two dads mom situation, and he still is like, yo, man, I fucked with all the people. I fucked with everybody. We all had positive. So it's, for me, that emotional family element and the family dynamic differences between Rhaenyra and Alicent's side is fun to see play out because there's just so much baggage. There's just so many things that were not handled properly. And it's very much like how real dysfunctional families are. Like, my family isn't having beef on this level, but it makes, we can all, I'm sure, relate to, like, hey, there's something that maybe a parent, a cousin, someone never really talked about or was unaddressed from even younger years. And you might be good, but that still is like it's a little, maybe a cloud hanging over shit. But yeah, watching this family dynamic at play, I am absolutely loving it. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy.
For sure.
Damn straight.
Are there any characters or like actors who have been just like killing it for you, Brian?
Killing it?
Yeah.
Let me think about that. Have there been? I mean, I think, like, on the whole, everybody has been really solid. I mean, Kristen Cole is fairly terrifying. I'm also glad that that the woman, I forget the name of her character, but she's in the show Devs, and she plays the woman that used to be a courtesan to Daemon, and
the White Worm,
and then and using all her social political capital to weasel her way into good graces with people. I'm very glad that she lost her thick accent that she was sporting last season, where for a while I thought she was just like mocking a Jamaican accent or something. I am glad that's gone.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So points to her for making a wise choice to move away from that. Who else has been great? I mean, like, Daemon is always great as just a chaotic force, and also, like, seeing him confront things, and with all of his baggage, I think plays out great, especially in that last episode too. He thinks he's going to be this big swashbuckling conqueror, and he comes to an empty castle and then is instead confronted by haunting dreams. So I think there's plenty of good stuff to go around.
I think,
so far in this
speaking
season.
of Daemon, that conversation he and Rhaenyra are having, where where they're in that dining hall, and or they're in their bedroom, I think, and they're just going at it around like, I can't trust you, right? Like that's the thing between them. And it's like, I'd sort of forgotten a little bit that like Daemon does have some claim to the throne, and probably at some point did have, Dane's on becoming king of Westeros or something like that, and maybe still harbors some of that wish. And he's, he has been a loyal supporter of Rhaenyra's claim, right? Like he said, like, I'll marry you. He put the crown on her. He did all these things. And so we've sort of just taken for granted, or I had taken for granted at least, that he was 100% in on Rhaenyra's claim to the throne. And when she points out, like, some of what you're doing right now is actually just out of like your own self-satisfaction, your own want to create like chaos and whatever, and not thinking about the bigger picture, is actually why you weren't entrusted with the throne in the first place. Like, oh damn, like you're just pissing him off more, and now he's gonna do more chaotic things. Yeah, and speaking facts for sure. But that scene between them was just like so brilliant in terms of like their acting, their timing, like the way they would kind of get hot and then cold to each other. Yeah, so that, I think that scene has been the standout for me between them. And I think one small piece that comes from that is that right afterwards, Rhaenyra tells Baela that she can go stand watch on her dragon over King's Landing, when she wouldn't let Jacaerys do it, her firstborn son do it. And so she doesn't hold her son in the same regard as her niece, maybe. I'm not actually sure what her relationship to Baela is, but she's like, oh yeah, Jace, you can't be in harm's way, but Baela, go ahead, you can be in harm's way.
I think they're also cousins.
Yeah,
they're cousins as well. It's a little bit messy. We're not going to spend too much time thinking about it, otherwise my brain will bleed out of my ears. Sav, has there been anybody who's kind of stood out to you in terms of like their acting, or just characters you've really just like kind of really enjoyed seeing on screen?
Yeah, like I said, the Greens have just been very fascinating because it's just the most dysfunctional family ever, and just watching it, the actors are doing a great job. So the guy who plays Aegon is named Tom Glenn Carney. I'm a huge fan of him. They didn't give him a lot to do at the end of the last season because his character wasn't at the forefront of the story yet, obviously. But they clearly sold off that he was a bit insecure and unsure of himself and a piece of crap, right? And it was pretty easy to hate him.
I feel like they've changed his character between season 1 and season 2.
I don't think so. I think it was...
You don't think so?
My interpretation of him is the hyper rich kid who was neglected by his parents and just does whatever and wilds out because they just don't, they have no other outlet. And he also is from a royal family and has like unlimited funds. Like, I think that first season of like the child fighting and the salt stuff was like a good way of driving that home, and his like alcoholism and all of that. But the actor who plays him does a good job of just, for a character that's very easy to hate, he has a weird charisma that makes the character still fun to watch because he's almost funny, but not in like a ha-ha way, but just, I don't know, his demeanor, the energy he brings to the character is very entertaining and kind of brings a character who could easily feel like a Joffrey-esque character, honestly feel, in my opinion, a lot more human. Like, is he a piece of crap? Yes, but he's not just out here torturing people like Joffrey did, but he still does impulsive, awful, dumb shit. Like, he hung those rat catchers and made Cole his hand incredibly stupid, but you understand his logic of where he's coming from, even if it's a dumbass logic. He kills the guy who killed his son himself, but it's like, yeah, I mean, he want revenge. That tracks. I mean, I get it. I get why someone would do that. When I do it, I don't know. Yeah. But
well, he wants to project strength. He's not a sadist.
Yeah, and you see his insecure. You see how blatantly insecure he is, right? He wants to ride his dragon to prove himself. He wants to project strength. Him being mad about Otto, Larys manipulating him into not wanting to be manipulated by his grandfather Otto, and that whole scene, which, by the way, that Otto scene was amazing. That was probably my favorite part of the season, was just Otto blowing up on him and just saying what we, the audience, been wanting to say. But the actor who plays Aegon is great. Like I said, Aegon was never a character I liked. Even in the books, he was very easy to like root against and hate. And now they've made him this very tragic character who does dumb shit, but it's just, you understand a bit of why, and it's still just interesting to see like someone who's very much not fit for the role as king, kind of knows he shouldn't, most of the people around him kind of know, but he still tries to cling on because, like we said earlier, this shit's too far gone to end in anything remotely peaceful. So like he's kind of just stuck in the role. Like even his dynamic with his brother of like him actually kind of being his brother's real biggest bully. Like, you know, Aemon's the bullied one who's kind of has his own insecurity, but you know, Aegon's kind of the real bully of him. He was the bully as a kid. He was the one bullying him in the brothel. Aegon's a piece of crap and is a very intriguing character, but the actor is what really makes him like makes those scenes for me come to life.
Nice. I haven't really been into that character, but the acting, but I just thought like in season 1 he just always seemed like a piece of shit. Like everything he did was like awful. He didn't really seem to even want to be king that much. He was just kind of like whatever about it. And this season, and granted, like things can change, but it just didn't feel explained or earned that he's actually a little bit more tactical, right? He's showing some thought around like, I put the rat catchers up there because the city needs to know that like you can't like fuck with our family, yada yada yada. Like he had some like logic about like what he was doing. He's taking it seriously in terms of like who he wants to surround himself with. He changes out the Kingsguard. I'm not saying these are great choices, but he's showing that he's actually paying attention. He goes to these council meetings. He has suggestions around like how they're going to fight. He mourns his son, who he's never been really a father to, it seems like. And they sort of retconned it and being like, he's trying to make up for the lack of fathership that he got from his father. So like, I don't know. I feel like they sort of, they changed, and I think those are good choices. I think it makes him a more like understandable or like more rounded character, but it was sort of jarring to be like, wait, are we supposed to be feeling like some kind of empathy for this kid now? Because in the first season, you don't feel any empathy for him at all. He's just like an a-hole through and through, and nothing he does seems serious or doesn't seem like he cares. And in this, it was like the lack of care. He just didn't care about anything going on. Like you said, he was just the rich kid who had everything he wanted, and that's all he wanted was to like have his fun and do whatever. And in this season, he's very much more like, I want to be the king. I want to have power. I want to make these decisions, when he had never shown any interest in that before. And so I think that's where I felt like there was a shift that like was a little bit jarring for me. Not that that was the wrong choice, just that like they didn't sort of like ease us into that. It just sort of happened.
There's a pivotal scene in season 1
Yeah.
that I think maybe you're forgetting here.
Okay.
Is
Tell
that
me.
when he's coronated and the people are cheering for him, he's fucking into it.
Okay.
He loves, you can
His
tell
face changes.
he has clearly changes attitudes and loves the idea of him having that power and now stepping into this mantle where he's no longer just
the
just
F up
the rich
son
kid.
and the F up son.
You know, and he hears the complaints,
the chanting.
Well, no, sorry. I was saying in this season, he has that scene where he's hearing the complaints or the difficulties.
Yeah, and he wants to do something.
Yeah, he wants to do something. Like he's
helpful.
an earnest, actual ruler at that point. And I was like, this doesn't seem like the same Aegon we've seen at all, you know. So that kind of threw me.
So
for
this
a
is
loop,
why
but I guess that makes sense. That
he's
and this is why I connected that too,
because he's thrust into this role.
Gotcha.
Also, the other connected dot moment, Wes, is that, like I said before, he has been emotionally neglected by his mom and his dad. Neither of them really, they both know he's kind of a piece of crap and don't really show any interest in him. So it's not just him wanting to be, I think it's less of him wanting to be a good ruler. I wouldn't frame it as that. It's more of a, this is his means to get approval. You know, he has never gotten approval from anybody. He's always been seen as the F up and all of that.
Now he wants the approval of the
I mean, you can tell, right? He's even insecure of his brother. His brother is like a badass who can fight, who's in shape and all this, and got to rise the biggest dragon. He clearly partially bullies him because, you know, he's got an inferiority complex and he's insecure, right? So like a lot of this kind of tracks what we already know about him, but I wouldn't look at it as he wants to be a good leader. It's more of he never got approval from mommy and daddy, but shit, they forced him to be king so he can get approval from the people. So he'll do that. So he wants to try and be king, but that's what makes him tragic because he's still an idiot. Because everything he does that's kind of even remotely, you say tactical, it's like, all right, but he does it in the dumbest way possible.
Yeah,
promotes
for sure.
The worst person to hand.
But just that interest, he had shown zero interest in being king before that. Do you know what I'm saying?
He realized that was a means to be
saying that he shows interest immediately when it happens, and that every choice that he makes in season 2 is really about asserting his dominance as like a bully, right? And removing anything that feels threatening to him.
Yeah.
right? So he removes Otto Hightower and installs Kristen instead, who is somebody who's enabling him, right? So he is basically filling out people,
the Kingsguard was just a bunch of bros.
Him.
Like they were just bros.
Right. The King's not the Kingsguard. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's a good way of framing it, that it's like about acceptance, and he doesn't want to hear like too much pushback or have somebody who like threatens his reign, right? Or his like power and control here. All right. So this season has already had some like interesting choices, or some like, I don't know, just like very impulsive moments and that lead to a lot of violence, or that lead to kind of tragedy or something like that. Has there anything that stood out to you most? Because for me, it's probably the twin fight. That was just like the most, like, not the most jarring, but it was the most like engaged that I've been in. Like, whoa, how did, like, the lead up to it, how it happened, and then how it finishes. Savon, where are you going on that one?
Are you talking about just like impulsive moments, or the twin fight specifically? Because the twin fight broke my heart.
No, just impulsive moments. What stood out to you is just like, oh man, this show is like setting us up for some whoa.
I think honestly, it kind of, everything that has happened is just retroactively making Otto's entire plot to install Aegon in the first place just be like, dude, that was just such a dumb decision in hindsight. Yeah. I mean, it was a dumb decision in foresight too, but like in hindsight, like, so whenever I see wild things happening, what comes to mind for me isn't really the thing that actually happened. It's like Otto, bro, you effed up. All of this ultimately comes back to you, because you're the ones who plotted to install Aegon, and all the dumb shit that happened in Spirals is because of that. With your damaged, beefing family, where nobody else is going to be remotely capable of making a rational decision. Because, like, look at that group, look at this family between Aegon, Aemon, Daemon. Who in that group is going? All of them have already done dumb shit. So, but
inbreeding has a cost.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, maybe it's not Targaryen madness. Maybe it's just Targaryen they're just dumb, and Targaryen impulsiveness. I don't know. Yeah. I thought Aegon hanging the rat.
They're fiery, you know. They're from Valyria.
Yeah, I think Aegon hanging the rat catchers was one that I think will have more of a ripple effect. I'm just like, dude, I was with Otto that whole scene. I'm like, dude, y'all had a layup to be able to kind of get things going for y'all in a good way, and that was just such an unforced error, pimp. Like, there was just a bazillion ways you could have done that, and you picked the worst possible way. I think that's going to bite him in the ass down the line.
I don't know if it will. I mean, I think you're right that it might, but I wasn't really on board with that. I was like, the people haven't seen like worse than this. Like, it seems like they've had some like pretty crazy rulership for a long time, and so like hanging people from the walls. But maybe it's different because Viserys ruled for a long time and didn't do things like that were super cruel. But
and the king before was known specifically as the longest reigning Targaryen king, and it was also an Age of Peace. So, like, for context of the story,
I thought Viserys was the longest.
No, the king, because remember before that they had Jaehaerys, who was he was the old king, right? He was literally the super old dude, and he was renowned as like one of the best kings ever, because even with all the succession crap, right, they had the whole great council to settle that and make shit the thing that made Viserys king. But like, his entire reign and Viserys' entire reign were entirely peaceful in terms of theirs. So like, they actually have had pretty chill Targaryens in office at this point in time. Like, they haven't been.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I thought Otto had said that your father had reigned over the most, or like reigned the longest. I thought he was talking about.
It's not longest, but it was a peaceful reign. Like, under him and the king before, you got almost 100 years of just like pretty chill, and not like a crazy dude in office, chill people. So Aegon is very much and like Aegon said, I mean, like Otto said, right? Like, the people are already kind of split between some like Rhaenyra, some Aegon. So if that's already like a two sides thing, you didn't do yourself no favors. So I don't know. I think that's gonna bite him in the back. But I was like, dude, that was dumb as shit, bro. I love it.
I mean, it sort of just comes down to whether the people really care about that action, right? Or about those characters, or about those rat catchers, and whether they think they were like innocent or whatever, whether they thought this was like so outlandish.
You saw the scene. You saw people outside the castle crying.
All right, Brian, has there been any moments that have stuck out to you?
I mean, I keep coming back to Kristen Cole, because he really is sort
swinging
of
that thing.
he's kind of a mirror to Daemon, even though he's not Targaryen, right? I mean, you could say Aemond is the mirror, but also Kristen Cole, because he's a dude with kind of like with a crazy allegiance to Alicent, right? Based on sex and passion. But clearly he has a level of aggression that, when unchecked, is really dangerous and really destructive, and I think he uses his passion as a justification for his aggression. And so, because of that, now in the midst of this war, him being given power as the new hand, also as the head of the King's Guard, right? It allows him to enact that aggression in terrible ways. So, that scene where he tells the twin, I forget whether it's Eric or Eric.
It's
ha ha ha,
Eric. Eric with the A.
He kind of has this very terrifying conversation with him, just saying to the dude, like, you're not going to go do this. You're not going to just end it and be the hero. Right. And so he has this kind of barnstorming, like kicking the door attitude, kicking ass, taking names,
gaslighting, projecting.
It's so he's a real wild card in this storyline, and you just know that he's more than the gasoline on the fire. He's like he's like
the oil.
Exxon Valdez on the fire.
Yikes!
And it's just gonna magnify so many times over this conflict, right? Because he's so wild and unhinged.
Him and Daemon, for sure. They want to amp up. They're ratcheting up the volume when everybody, like, some of the people are trying to bring it down. Dude, the ramifications of that, sending Eric in to kill Rhaenyra, who gets sort of alerted to it by the White Worm, by Mysaria, as she's being sort of given clemency or given passage out. That was such a crazy scene. And then, like, I couldn't tell who was who. I couldn't tell who had the upper hand. And then, it seemed like they were going to get Rhaenyra, and then they didn't. And then one stabs the other through the stomach and obviously, like, has this mortal injury. And then you're like, is it the one that's protecting her? Is it the one that's going to attack her? And you don't know. And he says, I'm sorry. And you're like, are you sorry because you're going to kill her? Or are you sorry because something else? And then he kills himself right through the stomach. Oh, man. Like, what a tragic Shakespearean ending for a brother to kill a brother and then kill himself at the dismay of not being in a world where his brother's alive. Just,
and him being
just
the
incredible.
One who did it.
And him having to be the one who had ended his brother's life. Just an incredible, like, moment for characters like we didn't really care too much about. I mean, they didn't have big backstory or anything, and just in those moments that they did have, you could see, like, how much their bond meant to each other. And this fight, like I said before, like, this fight just sort of did a great job. Kind of like how The Boys, they're using these fights to build character, to characterize these moments and these players on the board, and I think they did a fantastic job with that particular fight in doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've been doing a lot these last couple episodes, right, of emphasizing, especially before things pop off, that the deadly nature of these conflicts between families, right? Like, they had the Blackwoods and Brackens, who are, like, for context, they're like the Game of Thrones world equivalent of like the Capulets and Montagues in terms of just beef on site. Actually, if you recall, in season 1, when Rhaenyra was seeing out the different people to marry her, remember that young boy who came up and he was getting insulted and he fought that guy and killed him? Y'all remember that?
Kind of. Not
Rhaenyra
really.
people were basically asking for Rhaenyra's hand, but like a young boy came, like a kid, and they were just mocking him. But that was a Blackwood and a Bracken. So their beef is like, yo, you talk shit? All right, come on, let's get it. It's on site. But them, senseless blood loss, right? The brothers getting on opposite sides, senseless blood loss. It's they're really doing a good job of driving home the point of like, yo, man, this family infighting amongst each other only leads to all of our collective ruin. We've seen the Brackens and, them destroy each other in that war thing we saw in that scene. That was just a cut to a bunch of bodies. We saw the twins kill each other.
Yeah, we didn't actually see the battle. Budget saving. Hey.
I mean, it's not an important battle. It's not an important battle. It's a battle that happens that's for narrative purposes, but like there's no named characters we care about. The point is that they beef and they're bloody, right? But, the point was made, and I can't wait to see how that pays off in the later parts of the season for the battles that frankly matter more because they have our named characters and bigger consequences. But all right. I like the driving that point home.
Sounds good. So it sounds like all of us are going to be watching this show. So even if we don't talk about it again, we'll probably talk about it when it ends. But let's say we don't talk about it again. Both of you are glued to it every Sunday night.
We're talking about it at the end.
Okay. Brian, you're into it?
Regardless of how you feel.
Go renegade, Brian.
Do it.
Everybody and their mom is watching the show.
So you got to be a follower.
And that includes
and
us, and we're enjoying it.
Okay.
Not that we're sheep. It's that sometimes things rise above the rest.
I see.
This is clearly one of them. This is clearly one of them. And I'm, if some people don't get it, that's on them.
I'll say this: your guys' enthusiasm and things you're pointing out has like upped the show's profile in my brain. I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing some good things here. So thank you for sharing your opinions and your insights. I was gonna say foresights. That's not what the insights that you guys have shown or shared with me today. I still don't think it's like an amazing show. This is not like my favorite show, but it is fun, and me and Jen have been watching it together, so we'll definitely keep watching.
Tell us what your favorite show is.
What do you like?
Let's compare.
West Wing. My favorite show ever, all time, West Wing.
No. I mean right now.
Oh, I don't know.
Also, West Wing.
You lukewarm on everything, Wes. Like, what's up? Are you just becoming a curmudgeon?
It could be that. I think also part of it is, I just haven't had as much time to like really actually just enjoy shows. Everything feels like I'm stealing time from other places. And so it's really got to be like capturing,
Stop taking it out on the shows here.
Yeah, it could be that. So everybody on the show, Damon, Rhaenyra, Allison, Aegon, Aemon, Aemon, Jacaerys, whoever, all these fuckers.
Jacaerys, Daenerys, Jamaris,
yeah,
Jamaica.
It sounds like that potatoes tomato song that comes out around Thanksgiving. So
tomato,
everybody
potato,
has
lamb, chicken.
Has some sort of claim to the throne, right? Either through an aunt or an uncle or their father or their mother or whoever, or just being named it. And that's sort of obviously what the whole thing is about. So let's take it personal, guys. If you would have a battle for the throne, let's say you thought you had a claim to it, who are your main rivals and what are they doing to take you out, or what are you doing to take them out, and how are you going to exploit their weaknesses? So I have a bad answer for this because the only people in line for the Nakamura throne are me and my sister Alexis. And it turns out that we are both fairly easygoing and we both kind of like each other and we both recognize, the goodness in each other. In fact, we just went on this Disney vacation trip, like I said, together.
And they held hands the entire time.
They're doing great.
Alexis did a lot of the like planning and logistics and kind of set up some of the stuff. And then, I gave some input and we worked together. We talked about like how we're going to split the bill. It was all very kumbaya.
Slick. How you saw that, Brian? Slick.
That really sounds like she did the work for you.
Well, no, I had to look up some stuff and then I had to sign up.
Oh, you poor baby! You had to look up some stuff.
we were cooperating, I think, very well. And my sister, sort of right now has a claim to the throne of our inheritance of our parents' house, because she lives there and she pays rent. I do not live there and I do not pay rent and do not, have to interact with our parents, on a daily basis. So I would say that even though I'm the firstborn son of our family and I'm the oldest, that I would abdicate my claim to the throne and I would hand it to Queen Alexis She's always been a princess anyways, and so I think it would be fitting for her to be the ruler of Nakamuraville. I don't know, whatever. Our little kingdom would
The
be called the
Nakamura
Kingdom of
Citadel.
You're just
Petulant.
abdicating just like that? You're just
I'm
hand it over?
abdicating. I don't want it. I have my own little kingdom I'm building here with Jen and the girls, and I feel very good about that. I don't need to unite the 7 kingdoms. I can just be in charge
That
of
boy
my
went
own
to
little
Dawn.
fief over here. I'm opting out. Maybe we'd go to Easteros and hang out in Pentos, or Bravos or something like that.
Dang.
So
do they have rides there?
That's a boring but chill answer. It's better than a lot of the alternatives.
Yeah, we're pretty drama free, I think, over here in the Nakamura House of Nakamura. Brian, what is your line of succession? What's your claim to the throne, and who are your main rivals?
Well, clearly I am the rightful heir to the throne of Redondo.
Of course. Hi, Brian. Highness, your Lord Highness. Yeah.
In true Game of Thrones gender role norms, I am the only son, and thus I am the rightful heir. And not only that. So I have 3 older sisters.
Ooh,
so
that's
I am
tough.
the youngest. The youngest, but I'm the only boy, which means that my parents were trying very hard to will me into existence. It took them 4 tries. They are 1 for 4, actually.
25% from the field.
That means the sisters are misses. I'm the hit. My dad grew a mustache. He grew a mustache just so that while my mom was pregnant, he was trying to will me into life. He was like, this one better have manly. A damn penis. Like, good Lord.
And they got
I'm growing facial hair, and right now I'm sporting the same facial hair.
Hey.
So I'm the rightful heir. However,
a little hinty hint. Oh,
however,
caught that Wes.
However, if my sisters were to try to usurp this heir, and they might, because older sisters, they can kind of be like domineering. Savon knows.
Yes, I do.
They like to make choices.
They like, hey,
they did a
it's
family
great
manager.
that you planned everything, but I don't agree with all those decisions. And I have the perfect panacea to that. I am prepared for such a battle because as a young boy, I was terrorized by my eldest sister, who at the time was much bigger than the rest of us, and would take the beanbag chair
Jesus,
and throw it on us while we were like maybe lying on the carpet, right, watching TV.
Suffocated
throw it on
you.
us and sit on it with us underneath. But tables have turned. I'm like twice her size now. You wanna mess with the boy king? Sure. How about you mess with the man king? You can't do that. I got an even bigger beanbag chair. I'm laying out all of them, just pancaking, doing a Yokozuna, like sundown.
Jeff Hardy.
Boom, like atomic butt drop on top. They're done. Like, they're gonna immediately tap out. Immediately. I shall not be challenged.
So you're gonna win by physical force. Would they use
absolutely?
Would they use some emotional or mental wiles on you in the process?
I have learned in my years of being the only boy in the family not to have any emotions. So no problem.
You're
I'm
immune.
ready. I'm ready.
You locked those away.
I have trained for this for 40 years.
That's good.
Fair enough. Sav, what's your claim to the throne, and who's your main rivals here?
I was thinking about it. I don't know. I think it'd be messy on my end. I have a lot of siblings.
The House of Jones.
I'm the oldest boy. I have a younger brother. And then I have 3 older sisters. I'm just thinking about, if we're just going by line of succession, but just knowing them, it's just not going to be that cut and dry clean. I think my eldest sister, Asia, she's pretty chill. I don't think she would care about wanting to be in charge or king or something. She got her kids. She's vibing. I think
she's just trying to live her life.
Okay. I think my second oldest sister, Aja, would be the real concern.
Wait, you have an Asia and an Aja sister?
Well, Asia,
wow, very Targaryen.
Asia, ASIA. like the continent of Asia.
Yeah, continent.
And then Aja, IJA. So Asia and then Aja. Aja. Anyways, Aja is the one I'd be concerned about because
she's got a
like,
little.
Me and her are more alike. Like out of all, like me and her are kind of more closer to being counterparts in terms of like our just mentality and stuff. The organized ones, the one to be those types. I think she would want it, and I could see her being the type to be like, "Nah, Savon, I'm taking this shit," and I feel like we would come into conflict. I think my youngest older sister, Dominique, would probably like it on paper, but not all the maybe responsibility, extra shit that comes with it. I think so. Of her, it'd be like a maybe all talk, but not really a real like threat. I think my brother, in a similar manner, like I think for him, it's almost Damon, Renly energy of like the two of them of like they'd probably be cool on. They'd tell you talk about it, but not really be something to be worried about. Aja's the one I'm worried about because I think the two of us would actually try and get the other siblings to side with us. And my older sisters, they have
it's like succession. You got to create alliances amongst your siblings.
But they have
who are they throwing in for?
But then they have the same mom, so I feel like even though we're all tight, I feel like Aja could probably win them over a little more easily because I feel like my brand of smart is more of a dick brand of smart. If that makes sense. Like I'm considered one of the smart ones, but I think my brand of smart is more of like, oh, he's a dick, not just he's intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the fun version. It's not the cool version of being smart. It's like
it's not the benevolent brains.
Yeah, it's not the benevolent brains. It's the snarky ass. I'm like, okay, well. And once you
like, Wes, you said what?
Yeah, you know how it is with your siblings. Like, there's no. It's too late for me to rebrand. Like that's like that I'm not that standing. That PR is too late to flip. But I think it'd be me and Aja going at it. I feel like my brother would say, "Man, y'all figure that out between y'all. I ain't getting involved in this. That's between y'all." It'd be
really.
I think so. He'd be like, man,
because he's like the one who plays basketball. He's like competitive.
Yeah, but I think
he likes to
but he's
win.
also like man, I ain't trying to do all that politic bullshit, man. That's also him. It's also my brother.
So you'd be for 1 on 3. You'd end up being 1 on 3 in this.
I think maybe Asia would be neutral. She'd be like, y'all work that out. Dominique would be a wild card. Either way, it would either be me and Aja going at it, or me and Aja going at it and trying to get them to be involved, and they would probably either be like neutral. Maybe Dominique join.
Can one of you win the blessing of your parents? Like, can one of you be?
No, because my dad is gonna pull a Viserys and also be like, "Y'all chill out with that shit." Like, just a very like unhelpful.
He's not taking sides.
Very unhelpful. Keep the peace answer and is like, cool.
Yeah.
Just much like with Viserys in the show,
decided.
This has not resolved any of the actual underlying conflict. So
would have actually been less painful if he would have taken a side and just made it clear.
Just like, hey, can you pull rank and settle this shit? But now it's funny because now I kind of want to just ask in the sibling group chat, like, hey, yo, I'm doing this on the pod. If we was all in line to be king of some shit and I'm first in line because I'm the firstborn male, would y'all push back? Would y'all not bend the knee? It would be messy.
Well, if you put it in your group chat, we can include it at the end of the show after the music, and we'll see what they say. All right, friends. Well, that'll do it for us. House of the Dragon. It's episode 4 comes out tonight as of our recording. By the time you hear this, it will have already released, and then I think there's 4 more episodes. I think we're doing 8 episodes this season. Is that right, Brian? Do you remember? I don't know, whatever. 8 to 10, it'll be great. Enjoy it. Team Green, Team Black, Team who the fuck cares? Whatever team you're on.
That's Team Wes.
Whatever team you're on, enjoy the show. I hope you enjoyed our little podcast. Tell your friends about it. Hit us up on Instagram at confidently_pod. Friends, we're out of here. Be great. Don't sleep with your siblings. It's bad news. You end up with the Mad King and just bad decisions. Bye.